welcome. My name is Amanda Brawley, and I'm a member of this congregation and your worship associate today, together with all the people who have contributed to this online service, especially our video editor, Bruce Langston. I welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Metro Atlanta North congregation, which we like to call UUMAN. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, whomever you love, you are welcome here. We are so glad that you found UUMAN and look forward to getting to know you and answering any questions you might have. Please kindly fill out our online visitor form, and we can add you to our email list. This is located on our website, UUMAN.org. This service continues our lay-led summer theme of lifting up our voices of UUMAN and the Unitarian Universalist Association to which we belong. Today's service is entitled Brain as a Dinglehopper by Ayanna Coffey Stringer, who was recently diagnosed with ADHD. In this service, she will mark this amazing moment as well as talk about the difference it makes in her life and how she learns to manage this diagnosis. Then on August 1st, UUMAN members working on the Mimosa Hall project in Roswell will conduct the service, sharing the story of making a concrete and visible difference in the community. There is a team of people working hard to make it possible for us to get back into the sanctuary for Sunday services. If all goes well, in-gathering on August 8th will be a true in-gathering, with our service held in person at UUMAN. Safety features will be in place, including masks and restricting the size of the in-person group. The service will also be, for the first time ever, live streamed on YouTube at the same time. If you are visiting with us for the first time, welcome. Everyone is invited to join us for virtual coffee and conversation after the service this morning live at 10:45 a.m. And the link for this gathering can be found on the homepage of our website. Again, that's UUMAN.org. And now I invite you to quiet your mind and touch your soul. Be here in this moment as we gather virtually together once again, and welcome.
Hi, I'm Jane Soul from UUMAN's membership team. If you're new to our community, I'd like to take this opportunity to personally welcome you. Please take a moment and visit the website, UUMAN.org. There, on the homepage, you'll find an online visitor registration form. After filling it out, one of us on the team will contact you. We look forward to meeting you.
We light this chalice because we are Unitarian Universalists, and that's what we do.
In the Disney classic, The Little Mermaid, Ariel is a collector of human objects. In one scene, early in the movie, Ariel is showing her latest find to her friend Scuttle, the seagull, who considers himself an expert on all things human. Ariel holds up a piece of metal with separations on the end. Scuttle lets her know that this is a dinglehopper. He demonstrates by twirling it in his hair and pulling it out to create a brand new hairstyle. Ariel is amazed. At her first dry land dinner, Ariel finds a dinglehopper laying right next to her plate. Eager to show how much she knows about humanity, she picks it up and begins to pull it through her hair. After a few strokes, she notices the faces of her companions. She realizes that she's been given faulty information. She was using a dinglehopper the way we would use a comb or a brush. Ariel found a fork but was given the operating manual for a comb. Sometimes we get a tool that we're willing to use, but we have the wrong information about how to use it. Can you think of any way that you've experienced this?
When we share our lives together, we strengthen the bonds of our community. If you have a joy or a sorrow to share this week, please enter it in the chat window. There'll be an extended musical interlude, so everyone will have time to share what's on their hearts. I'd like to drop a pebble for all the joys too dear and the concerns too tender to share this week. And let's all keep each other in our hearts this week.
I suspected that I was using my dingle hopper incorrectly. Strange looks at dinner, awkward social interactions, the nagging sense of knowing that I wasn't using the tool in the way I was expected, but how should I be using it? I was beginning to suspect that my dinglehopper was actually a neurodivergent brain. And then the foundation of the house of my life started to shift. In July 2021, 2 months after my 36th birthday, I was diagnosed with ADHD. Being a human living in a Black female body, late diagnosis of neurodivergence isn't incredibly unusual. In fact, it seems so common that the current narrative is that we find some of the most important information about our brains from social media. I suspected that my dinglehopper was a neurodivergent brain in earnest in my 30th year while hanging out on Tumblr. I saved memes that described my experience down to the smallest detail and exchanged them later, like digital playing cards, with my then psychologist best friend who had been diagnosed with ADHD very early in life. I moved on to private Facebook groups and am currently getting some of the best brain hacks from neurodivergent talk. I credit TikTok creators with ADHD with the beautification of my office in Discovery Hall, something that previously would have been an unclimbable mountain. By 1992, in first grade, it was obvious that there was something not neurotypical about me. I liked school, I liked my teachers, I loved learning. But I was mentally much more stimulated by being a mermaid. Each day when I stepped into my classroom, I was transported under the sea. The light blue tiles made a path for me to swim, while the white tiles contrasted, obviously being dry sand. I would swim my way to the dark blue carpet of the deep sea that covered over half of the classroom. I spun slowly and soundlessly, taking care to be my most graceful version of my mermaid self. In the time I spent in this classroom made magical underwater cavern by the power of my intention, I learned to read, formed friendships with fellow undiagnosed neurodivergents, and earned a reputation from being disengaged. My daydreams could take me so deep in my head that I'd be quiet for over half of the day, sometimes being completely forgotten by my teachers. The reality behind this is my brain doesn't produce the levels of dopamine to sustain me in tasks for a neurotypical length of time. Some days this means I can't focus on a single task. Other days, this leads to me chasing dopamine through spirals of mental stimulation. Today is one of those days. This sermon is a result of that dopamine chasing. This also makes me great in group improvisational dance and in caring for small children. I can turn a simple walk into a magical quest, as well as anticipate a newborn's mood by the tiny, fascinating, and highly communicative shifts in their body. By high school, I was burnt out from the constant struggle to keep on top of my schoolwork. I allowed myself the mental rest of chasing whatever bliss my brain produced. I excelled in report writing as well as discussion-based classes where I could show my creative thinking style. With teachers I had relationships with, I sometimes created alternative learning options, like directing a dramatic, Gothic-styled play completely in Spanish instead of going to a semester of foreign language class. Since my high school was very student-centered, my ADHD traits, like my lack of working memory, went unnoticed. As I moved into emerging adulthood, I became obsessed with consistency, attempting to force my brain to be the same day to day through to-do lists, gold stars, colored pins, and mood boards. At one point, my internalized ableism had me so frantic for control that I kept a list of things that I was allowed to do: parenting, wifing, teaching, dancing, yoga, cooking, all so I didn't have to pick up any new flights of fancy. My routine became the only thing that was keeping my life together. If you pulled out one piece, like Jenga, my day came crashing down and I became impossible for me to control until the next day. Before self-diagnosis, I found refuge in neurodivergent coded female characters. Daria Morgendorffer subverted expectations of teenage girls, giving me a model for people who are interested in feminism, books, and being weird with their friends in local pizza places. Ramona Flowers showed me the strength and independence cultivated by having a rich inner life. Amelie bestowed the knowledge of how to value and honor the path that my mind takes me down. And Leslie Knope gave me permission to be my most intense and dedicated self. And as an honorable mention, Doctor Who is my ADHD dream, running from Pompeii to the library to the end of the universe with a wide range of endearing and fascinating best friends. In July 2021, I was diagnosed with ADHD. That's this month. Laying that on top of a second new job during a pandemic, I felt like my life was ripping itself apart. That, or like I was treading water. There are heart-aching realizations as memories fight for the privilege of being looked at through a wiser lens. There are tasks and productivity hacks that I must admit are never going to work the way I've convinced myself that they should. But there's also a surprising amount of grace. I no longer make my bed first thing in the morning, waiting an hour in case I need to climb back in and restart my day. Because beginnings can be hard for me, I'm allowing myself to start multiple projects so I can slip back in at any time. I'm setting mask-off solo dates where I give myself over to my impulses for an entire evening. Sometimes that means I'll half do 15 activities, and other times I'll spend hours reading in bed. The central thread is unconditional, loving, blanket forgiveness. If I am to move forward, as I intend to, if I am to live my own dream, I must allow myself forgiveness for the underwhelming versions of myself that I've been, the wildly untrue things that I believed about myself, and the questionable decisions I've made in search of peace of mind. I am, like I have always been, doing my best. And my best is all we will get from me. I'm telling the story of my now, so there's no conclusion. There's only flail forward, misstep, stumble, and continue. There's just me, single parenting, starting out as a DRE, leading, following, connecting, and discerning my future. What I know for sure is that my next steps will include a brand new operating manual.
We are grateful for the opportunity to be together today. We are grateful for the energy, the work, and the talent that many of our members and friends share with us during the week. And finally, we are grateful for the financial contribution that members like you give to our congregation in order for us to fulfill our duty, our joy, and our work inside this church and outside of our walls. The offertory will now be received. You can conveniently use the Givelify app on your phone. Thank you.
We extinguish this chalice, but let its light burn bright in our lives until we meet again.
For transparency's sake, I am not thriving. This is not a service about me living my best life. At best, I'm surviving. I have 36 years to unravel, dreams to find the root of, relationships to dissect, an identity to rebuild with new understanding. For transparency's sake, this service was catalyzed by an example of how white supremacy shows up in my Black life. My Black experience informs me that traits of neurodivergence can be dangerous harm magnets. So I've learned to mask and code switch becoming the most me in community with people of similar experience. For transparency's sake, I'm considering giving that up in favor of radical, kind, and appropriate honesty. I will give up striving for a perfect professional image and allow y'all, who are my work community, but also my siblings in UUism, to hold me as I am. This is an experiment. Be warned that we will all fail. And where we fail and continue forward, community grows. We can only heal these societal and structural wounds by engaging in the sacred work of community.